Welcome back, my dears. As we prepare to journey together through the whispering sands of the desert, let the day's worries dissolve like twilight shadows. Picture yourself beside Dr. K.R. fence, under a canopy of stars in the vast and serene Zephyr sands. Here, the hustle of life fades, and all that remains is the hush of ancient dunes speaking in soft murmurs. Allow the coolness of the desert night to envelop you, calming your spirit as you follow in Layara's quiet footsteps towards mysteries veiled in moonlight. With each breath, feel more at ease, your heart's rhythm sawing with the subtle song of the sands. Close your eyes and let this peaceful adventure guide you towards restful dreams, with the only path is one of discovery, and the stars lisp our lullabies. As the world around you becomes a distant whisper, embrace the tranquility of this moment. For a tale gently unfolds in the embrace of the night, a soothing journey into sleep. Chapter 1. Echoes of the dunes. The sun dipped low, casting a fiery glow over the vast expanse of the desert. Dr. Unravels steadied her wide-brimmed hat against the gust of wind that swept over the dunes, carrying with it whispers of ancient secrets and lost tales. Renowned in the academic world, her work in archaeology, Alara was no stranger to the forgotten corners of the earth, but the Zephyr sands were different. They were said to sing at night, murmuring stories of a time long past. Alara set her camp at the desert's edge. The air was thick with anticipation, or perhaps it was just the heat shimmering off the sand. As the twilight deepened, the stars began to pepper the sky, each one a silent witness to the epics that had unfolded beneath them. Her guide, a seasoned local named Tarit, sat by the fire, brewing tea. "The desert speaks to those who listen," he said, pouring the steaming liquid into a small glass. "At night, it will tell you if you're welcome here." Alara took the glass, feeling the warmth seep into her palms. She gazed out into the vast, undulating sea of sand, wondering what secrets it held. She had heard the legends, of course. Tales of a city, golden and grand, swallowed by the desert sands for its hubris. A city that whispered its story on the wind, calling to those who would seek its truth. As the fire crackled and Tarrier Stills filled the air, the first notes of the desert. A song began to weave through the night, soft at first and steadily growing, as if the dunes themselves were awakening. The sound was haunting, a chorus of thousands of grains of sand, each telling their own story. Alara closed her eyes, letting the desert wash over her. In that moment, she felt as though she was standing at the threshold of two worlds, the one she knew, grounded in the tangible, and another, more ancient, world that spoke in riddles and sang in the wind. As the night deepened, the song grew stronger, and in its melody, Alara heard the first whisper of the riddle she had come to solve. It spoke of a path hidden in plain sight, of a moon shadow that would point the way. Tomorrow, she would begin her journey in earnest. But for tonight, she was content to listen to the stories the desert sang, stories of the past that had been carried on the wind for millennia, waiting for someone to hear them. The fire dwindled to embers, and the camp settled into a tranquil silence, save for the ever-present song of the sands. Alara, wrapped in her blanket, lay near the fire, her mind adrift in the desert as a nocturnal symphony. Tariq had retired to his tent, but sleep eluded Alara. The sand's whispers were growing clearer, more insistent, as if urging her to heed their ancient tales. With every gust of wind, the Danes seemed to shift and sigh, recounting tales of caravans lost beneath the moonlit sky, of battles waged over hidden oases, and of the majestic city. The stories were fragmented, like shards of a broken mirror, each piece reflecting a different facet of the desert's hurts. Ari. Compelled by the desert's call, Alara rose, her eyes scanning the seas of sand. The moon, a slender crescent, hung low in the sky, casting a pale, silvery light over the dunes. It was then that she noticed it. A subtle, almost imperceptible pattern in the way the moonlight played upon the sands. It was as if the dunes themselves were aligning, forming a path illuminated by the moon's tender glow. Grabbing her notebook and a small lantern, Alara began to walk, her feet leaving shallow impressions in the cool sand. She followed the pattern, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The desert was a fickle guardian of its secrets, offering its treasures only to those who proved worthy. As she ventured further, the whispers grew louder, more coherent. They spoke of an ancient pact between the desert and the moon of a time, when the two were as close as lovers, their fates intertwined. The moon would cast its light, revealing the desert's hidden paths. The Motan, the desert would share its stories, its wisdom. Its wisdom will allow a profound connection to the sands beneath her feet, as if each grain were a word in the story of the earth, a story she was now a part of. She realized that the desert was not just a place, but a living, breathing entity. Its sands hold all the memories of all that had once existed there. Lost in her thoughts, Alara hardly noticed the hours slipping by. The moon's arc across the sky, marking the passage of time. It was only when the first light of dawn began to touch the horizon, turning the sky from black to a deep, velvety blue, that she stopped. Before her, the dunes rose and fell of the ocean, and in the growing light, she could see that she had reached a new part of the desert, a place where the sands whispered of secrets yet to be discovered. With the coming of dawn, the whispers faded, retreating into the recesses of the dunes, waiting for the moon to rise once again. Alara stood alone amidst the vastness, a solitary figure against the endless sands, her heart full of wonder, and her mind alive with possibilities. The desert had accepted her, had spoken to her, and she knew that her journey was only just beginning. As the sun crested the horizon, bathing the desert in a soft, golden light, our surroundings took on a stark, breathtaking beauty. The vastness of the desert was overwhelming, yet within its immensity, our stories untold, civilizations forgotten. It was here, amidst the shifting dunes, that Galera began to piece together the tale of the lost city, whispered to her by the sands themselves. With each step, the dunes seemed to shift, revealing fragments of pottery, shards of ancient glass, and other remnants of a bygone era. These were the echoes of the city that once was a city. According to legend, had been a beacon of culture and wealth in an unforgiving landscape. As Elle meticulously recorded her findings, the whispers grew more insistent, weaving a narrative of a city that thrived on the very edge of the impossible. It was a place of lush gardens nourished by ingenious aqueducts, of bustling marketplaces filled with spices and silks, and of grand palaces whose spires reached toward the heavens. But the city's prosperity was not to last. The whispers spoke of the hubris that angered the spirits of the desert. The city's rulers, blinded by their wealth, ignored the ancient pacts made with the desert and its guardians. In their arrogance, they believed they could dominate the sands and bend them to their will. The desert, ever alive and ever watchful, responded to this affront with a wrath as fast as its sands. In a single, devastating night, a fierce sandstorm swept over the city. When the winds finally calmed, the sand settled. The city was no more. It had been swallowed whole, its splendor beneath the dunes, a stark reminder of the desert's dominion. Yet the city was not entirely forgotten. The desert, in its enigmatic wisdom, had chosen to keep the memory of the city alive, whispering its tale to those who would listen and respect its power. It was a tale of beauty and tragedy, of a civilization that had reached for the stars only to fall and be reclaimed by the sands. Aurora felt a profound sense of humility as she stood amidst the ruins, the remnants of the city's glory now but whispers on the wind. She realized that her journey was not just a quest for knowledge, but a pilgrimage, a tribute to the countless stories buried beneath her feet. As she continued to explore, documenting her findings and listening to the desert as it was, Alara knew that she was not just uncovering the past. She was becoming a part of the deservative, a keep forth. Alara, the exploration of the lost city's remnants continued throughout the morning. Every discovery adding another piece to the historical mosaic she was piecing together. It was midday when the heat of the sun commanded a pause in her work, compelling her to seek refuge in the slender shade of a large dune. As she rested, sipping sparingly from her water supply, a figure appeared on the horizon, a silhouette shimmering in the heat haze. As the figure drew closer, Alara saw it was a woman, her garments flowing, her steps seemingly unhurried by the discerning, scorching embrace. The woman's eyes, when she finally stood before Alara, held the depth of the desert itself, ageless and inscrutable. "Hey, Nesira," the woman said, her voice a melodic whisper, yet carrying an authority that seemed to resonate with the sands themselves. The desert has seen your heart, unravels, and it has deemed you worthy. I am here to guide you further into its mysteries. Elara, taken aback by this unexpected encounter, studied Nara. Her presence was commanding, yet there was a gentleness in her demeanor that put her at ease. Why has the desert chosen to reveal its secrets to me? Elara asked, her curiosity piqued. Isura smiled, a gesture that seemed to echo the warmth of the sand around them. The desert chooses those who listen, those who respect its power and seek to understand its stories. Your journey here is not by chance. It is a path long written in the sands, a destiny you are now ready to fulfill. Now, as the day gave way to the cool air of the evening, Nasura shared tales of the desert, history, of its guardians, and of the powers that lay dormant beneath its surface. She spoke of the known shadow, a phenomenon that occurred once every generation, revealing the entrance to the desert's heart, where the greatest of its secrets were kept. The moon's shadow will appear again in 3 nights, Nasira explained, her eyes reflecting the fading light. It is a path that can only be walked by one whose heart is in harmony with the desert, one who has been chosen by the sands. That is you, Elara. Elara listened, her mind racing with questions and possibilities. The riddle of the moon shadow, the key to unlocking the path to the desert mart, was within her reach. And with Nasura as her guide, she felt a renewed confidence in the journey ahead. As night fell and the stars began their silent vigil, Elara knew that her journey was about to enter its most crucial phase. With Sisaran's guidance, she would navigate the challenges that lay ahead. Her resolve strengthened in the knowledge that the desert had chosen her to uncover its deepest secrets. Under the scarlet sky, Elara and Nasura sat by a small fire, the flames casting a gentle glow on their faces. The night was serene, the desert around them a vast, sullen expanse. Nasura's eyes, reflecting the firelight, held the calm of the desert night. The moon's shadow is not just a path. Nasura began, her voice low and rhythmic, like the distant song of the dunes. It is a riddle, woven into the fabric of the desert, a testament to the bond between the land and the sky. To walk this path, you must understand the riddle, for it guards the way to the heart of the desert. Arala leaned in, her mind alert and ready. What is the riddle, then? She asked, her voice tinged with the excitement of the impending challenge. Nasura paused, her gaze shifting to the heavens where the crescent moon hung, a sliver of silver in the dark canvas. When the moon reaps tears of silver light, and the stars bear witness in the night, seek the shadow that does not flee, for it alone holds the key. Elara pondered the words, their meaning elusive yet tantalizingly close. Moon's tears. Could it be the light it sheds over the desert? And the shadow that does not flee, the shadow cast by something constant, unchanging even as the night progresses. Nasura nodded, a faint smile gracing her lips. The desert listens to you, Allah. You are indeed the one it has been waiting for. But remember, the riddle is more than mere words. It is a harmony, a balance that you must find within myself and within the sands beneath your feet. The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparation and anticipation. Zipporah and Nisua explored the area, mapping the dunes and the ancient landmarks that dotted the landscape. They spoke a little, each lost in her own thoughts. Yet a bond had formed between them. He should understand him. And respect. And this third night, as the first hints of moonlight began to touch the sands, Aurora felt a surge of anticipation. This was the night of the moon shadow, the moment that would reveal the path to the heart of the desert. The moon climbed higher. It's like casting a silvery glow over everything. Elara and Nasiri stood side by side, watching the landscape transform under the celestial light. And then, as the moon reached its zenith, it happened. A shadow appeared, dark and distinct against the luminous sand. It was cast by an ancient stone, a monolith that stood alone, a silent sentinel amidst the dunes. Unlike the other shadows that shifted and twisted with the moon's ascent, this one remained constant, pointing like an arrow across the desert. Shadow that does not flee, Aura whispered, her pulse quickening. She turned to Nasira, her eyes shining with excitement and gratitude. This is it. The path to the desert. It's hard. Nasira nodded, her expression serene yet profound. Yes, but remember, the path is not just a journey through the desert. It is a journey within yourself. Walk it with respect, with humility, and with an open heart. With a deep breath, Alara stepped forward, her feet following the line of the shadow. The sands whispered around her, and the moon watched from above. She was walking the path of the moon's shadow, venturing into the heart of the desert and into the depths of her own soul. With each step Alara took along the steadfast shadow, the desert around her seemed to whisper in a chorus of approval. The moon hung high, a silent guardian illuminating her path with its soft, silvery light. Nasira walked a few paces behind, a reassuring presence in the vast, open expanse of the dunes. The air was cool, a gentle breeze carrying the faint, harmonious song of the sands. I felt a profound connection to the desert, a sense of unity that transcended time and space. She was no longer just an archaeologist on a quest for knowledge. She was a pilgrim on a sacred journey. A journey not just of discovery, but of understanding. As they walked, the landscape began to change subtly. The dunes gave way to a flat expanse of sand, smooth and untouched. The shadow led them unerringly across this blank canvas, a dark line in stark contrast to the moonlit sand. Then, ahead in the distance, Alara saw it, a structure emerging from the sands. Its outlines belied by the night, but unmistakable in its presence. It was an archway large and imposing, carved from stone that seemed to drink in the moonlight, casting no shadow of its own. Horror raced as she approached the archway. The whispers of the desert grew louder, a cacophony of voices speaking in a language felt rather than heard. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the cool stone, and felt a surge of energy, like a nutrient, that tourist through her, linking her to the desert and the ancient civilization, but it didn't scolded it all. This is the threshold. As her eyes whispered the spell, her words barely audible over the desolate song. Beyond this archway lies the heart of the desert, a place of power and knowledge. The path you've walked has secured you. But what lost? You are returned to Nasira, her eyes filled with questions. What will I find beyond this archway? What is the heart of the desert? Nasira smiled, a look of deep knowing in her eyes. That is for you to discover. The heart of the desert is different for each who walks this path. It is a reflection of your soul, of your deepest desires and fears, of the truths you seek, through truths, and the truths you hide from. Walk with courage, aware of events, and know that the desert watches over you with a nod of understanding and a heart full of anticipation. Hara stepped through the archway. As she crossed the threshold, the world around her shifted. The night sky stretched infinitely above, a tapestry of stars winking in silent understanding. The sands under her feet vibrated with the heartbeat of the desert, a rhythm ancient and profound. She was in the heart of the desert, a place out of time, where the past, present, and future merged into one. Here, the secrets of the desert lay open, waiting for her to uncover them, to learn from them, and to carry their wisdom back to the world beyond. As the first light of dawn began to touch the horizon, Alara knew that her journey was far from over. It was just beginning. The desert had revealed its path to her, and now it was her turn to walk it, to discover its truths, and to honor its ancient legacy. Chapter 2. Melodies of the Forgotten. Alara stepped through the archway into a world that defied her understanding of reality. Before her lay an oasis, an impossible bloom of life amidst the barren desert. Lush greenery surrounded a pool of crystal. Clear water, its surface still reflective like a mirror to the sky. The air was vibrant with the sound of knife odds sang in the canopy, and the gentle rustle of leaves whispered secrets long forgotten. She had approached the water's edge, her reflection staring back at her. A solitary figure amidst the surreal beauty of the oasis. It was then that the melody began, soft and haunting. A tune, carried by the wind, it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, infusing the air with a sense of longing and melancholy. As she walked, the vegetation grew denser and the song grew stronger, more insistent. It spoke of ages past, of the laughter and tears of those who had once made this oasis their home. Alara found herself in a clearing where the remnants of an ancient settlement lay. Crumbled wires and broken pillars were all that remained. Yet each stone seemed to pulsate with a memory of its former glory. The melody swirled around in ruins, a harmony of sorrow and beauty, of loss and hope. In the center of the ruins, a statue stood, untouched by time. It was a figure of a woman, her features worn smooth by the centuries, yet her pose spoke of strength and grace. Though I approached, drawn by an inexplicable connection, the melody endowed, reaching a peak that seemed to resonate with the core of her being. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the cold stone of the statue. In that moment, the melody enveloped her, and a flood of memories rushed in, not her own, but those of the oasis. She saw the rise and fall of the settlement, the joy of bountiful harvests, the sorrow of devastating losses, and the ultimate abandonment that left the oasis. A generator scattered, the vision faded, and the melody receded, leaving Elara breathless and overwhelmed. As she left the clearing, the oasis seemed to acknowledge her passage, the wind carrying a soft whisper of thanks. Ilana knew that her journey through the desert was not just about uncovering its physical secrets. It was also about connecting with the spirit of the land, understanding its past, and honoring the memories etched into its sands. The oasis of memories had offered her a glimpse into the soul of the desert, a melody of the forgotten that resonated with the deepest part of her. With each step she took, she felt a growing sense of purpose, a commitment to uncovering the truths that lay hidden beneath the shifting sands. Leaving the oasis behind, Elara ventured back into the heart of the desert. The memory of the Caucasus, its melody still echoing in her mind. The sun was a fierce guardian in the sky, its rays a relentless reminder of the desert's might. Yet, despite the harsh conditions, Elara felt a newfound resilience, a strength that she drew from the stories and spirits of the land. As she traversed the dunes, a new sound began to rise above the whisper of the sands. It was a deep, resonant hum, a vibration that seemed to emanate from the very heart of the desert. In the trade, Elara followed the sound, her steps guided by an unseen force that pulled her toward the source of the melody. The dunes gave way to a valley, where the bones of an ancient civilization lay exposed to the sky. Ruined structures dotted the landscape, their broken forms testament to a con-driven community that had stood against the test of time and elements. In the center of the valley, a monument rose, its surface etched with symbols and glyphs that spoke of a deep connection to the earth and sky. Elara approached the monument, her eyes tracing the intricate carvings. The hum grew louder, a chorus of voices that seemed to rise from the stone itself. She placed her hands in the monument, and the voices coalesced into a clear, harmonious song, the song of the ancestors. A melody passed down through generations, a hymn of unity and perseverance. The song told stories of the desert's children, of their lives and dreams, their struggles and triumphs. Spoke of their reverence for the land, their understanding of its rhythms and moods, and their pact with the forces that govern their existence. Melody was a bridge between the past and present, a reminder that the spirit of the ancestors lived on at the heartbeat of the desert. As the last notes of the song faded, Alara stepped back, a sense of awe and humility filling her. She realized that her journey was not just about unearthing the physical remnants of the past. It was also about reconnecting with the wisdom of those who had walked the desert before her, about continuing a legacy that stretched back through the sands of time. With a renewed sense of purpose, Alara recorded her findings, her notes a testament to the enduring melody of the ancestors. She knew that her journey was far from over, that the desert still held many secrets awaiting to be discovered. But she also knew that she was not alone. Spirits of the past walked with her, with song the guiding light in the vast, whispering expanse of the sands. The sun descended, casting long shadows across the desert, transforming the dunes into a sea of gold and amber. Alara continued her journey, guided by the song of the ancestors still resonating within her. As the twilight deepened, she noticed a subtle change in the landscape. The sands seemed to ripple and shift, revealing hidden contours and buried secrets. It was then that she stumbled upon the traces of an ancient caravan route. The remnants were faint, almost erased by time beneath the moving sands, but to Alara's trained eye, they were a map, a story waiting to be read. She followed the traces, her steps tracing the paths once trodden by countless feet, the wheels of carts and the hooves of beasts of burden. The caravan route led to a series of shallow depressions in the sand, the last vestiges of wells that had once the thirst of weary travelers. Around the wells, the remnants of encampments could be discerned, stone circles that had once held the warmth of fires, fragments of pottery and tools worn by use and time. As Alara explored the site, she imagined the caravans that had stopped here, the stories and goods they had carried from distant lands. She could almost hear the chatter of traders, the laughter of children, and the bellowing of camels, a vivid tapestry of life that had once woven its thread through this now silent place. Her exploration led her to a remarkable discovery. Partially buried in the sand, near one of the wells was a chest. Its wood aged and weathered, but still intact. With careful hands, Alara unearthed the chest and opened it. Inside, wrapped in Alara carefully unfurled one of the scrolls, her heart racing with anticipation. The script was ancient, a testament to a long-forgotten tongue. Yet the drawings that accompanied the text were clear. They depicted the caravan route, the wells, and the star, a map of sorts, guiding the travelers through the desert's treacherous embrace. The scrolls were a treasure beyond gold and jewels, a window into the lives of those who had traversed the desert, its expanse, a record of their knowledge and journey. Alara knew that the scrolls held the key to understanding the ancient caravan route, a guide to navigating the desert, not just through landmarks, but through the wisdom of those who had come before. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Alara carefully wrapped the scrolls and placed them back in the chest. She would study them further, but for now, she felt a profound sense of connection to the caravan travelers of the past, the journey now intertwined with her own. The desert, she realized, was not a barren wasteland, but a repository of stories, a keeper of memories that stretched back through the millennia. Each grain of sand was a witness to the lives that had passed, each whisper of the wind a carrier of their tales. With the ancient caravan route stretching out before her, Alara felt a surge of determination. The desert's secrets were slowly unraveling, each discovery a piece of the puzzle that would lead her to the heart of its mysteries. As Alara journeyed further, the desert landscape continued its endless dance of shape and color. The dunes rolling like waves in a frozen, golden sea. The sun, now a fiery orb on the horizon, painted the sky in hues of orange and pink. It was during this transient time, when it became months into night, that the desert revealed one of its most enigmatic phenomena, the mirage. Ahead of Alara, the air shimmered, blurring the line between sand and sky. Visions began to materialize, ethereal and fleeting. A city of spires and domes appeared, only to dissolve into the sands from which it sprang. Trees laden with fruit beckoned, their leaves rustling in a non-existent breeze, before fading into the arid air. Alara knew the science behind the mirage, a trick of light and heat playing upon the weary eyes of travelers. Yet, as she watched the illusions rise and fall, she sensed a deeper truth within this desert spectacle. The mirage was not just a deception. It was a reflection, a manifestation of the hopes, fears, and desires that travelers carried in their hearts. As she contemplated this, a figure appeared within the mirage, a silhouette both foreign and familiar, as one garbed in the flowing robes of the desert, her bearing regal, her gaze piercing the veil of the illusion. Alara's breath caught in her throat. The figure was none other than Nasira, who had died. Yet there was something otherworldly about her in this moment. Nasira? Alara called out, her voice swallowed by the vastness of the desert. The figure of Nasira nodded, her lips parting in a whisper that carried across the sands. The mirage is the desert's test, Aloha. It confronts you with your fears, your desires, your past, and your future. Face the truth in our heart, and will you to seek. With those words, the figure of Nasira dissolved, leaving Alara alone with the shifting illusions. She took a deep breath, steadying her resolve. She would not be swayed by the mirage, tantalizing visions. She sought the truth, the knowledge hidden within the desert's heart, and she would not be deterred by the phantoms of the mind. With each step forward, Alara focused on her purpose, on the journey that had brought her to this moment. The illusions around her began to wane, their allure fading into the sands, and in their place, a new vision, a mirage born of heat and light, a revelation, clear and profound. Before her lay the desert, vast, and an ending. Its dunes a testament to the passage of time, its winds a whisper of ancient tales. In that moment, the aura understood that the mirage was not a barrier, but a mirror, reflecting the depth of her own spirit, the strength of her resolve, and the clarity of her vision. With renewed clarity, the aura continued her journey, the mirage of truth, a reminder of the desert's assets. Lessons of the greatest journey was not to the external world, but to the within minutes and minutes. Night fell over the desert like a velvet cloak, studded with the shimmering jewels of the stars. The air cooled, and the sands whispered into the gentle touch of the nocturnal breeze. Aurora, with her heart still echoing the lessons of the mirage, gazed upward, drawn to the celestial tapestry that unfolded above her. The stars, ancient and wise, treated in sound of harmony. The era, feeling the profound connection to the heavens, began to discern patterns in the constellations, a celestial map that guided the navigators of old through the desert's vast expanse. She unpacked her astrolabe, an ancient instrument inherited from her grandfather. Its surfaces etched with wisdom passed down through generations. As she aligned the device with the stars, the heavens seemed to speak directly to her, her whispers intertwining with the sun and the sands. The constellations told stories, tales of heroes and heroines, of gods and monsters, of love and loss. They spoke of the desert too, of its secrets and its treasures, guiding the worthy through its heart. And among these celestial tales, one constellation drew Olara's attention none other than Navigator. A cluster of stars that formed the shape of an arrow, pointing pointingly towards the north. While Lara consulted the ancient scrolls she had discovered, their brittle pages illuminated by the soft glow of her lantern. The text spoke of the Navigator, revered by the desert dwellers as a guide to the sacred, a beacon leading to a heart of the desert of the greatest of mysteries lay hidden. With the stars as her guide, Elara set out, following the direction in which the Navigator pointed. The sands beneath her feet seemed to pulse with a newfound energy, as if the desert itself was acknowledging the journey she was undertaking, a pilgrimage guided by the harmony of earth and sky. The night wore on, and the symphony of the stars reached its crescendo. Vera felt as if she were not merely walking upon the earth, but moving through the very fabric of the cosmos, each step a note in the grand melody of existence. As dawn approached, the stars began to fade, their nocturnal symphony giving way to the silence of the approaching day. Their message was clear, imprinted in Mama's soul. A journey she was on was guided by forces greater than herself, a journey that transcended time and space, leading out to the Adelaide, with the first light of dawn painting the sands in hues of milk and gold. Elara knew that the next phase of her journey was about to begin. The symphony of the stars had set her on this path, and she was ready to face whatever mysteries the desert chose to reveal. The dawn cast a soft, golden light over the desert, unveiling a landscape that seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of the day's revelations. Alara, her spirit attuned to the symphony of the stars, felt an unmistakable pull, a call that beckoned her toward her destiny. As she marked, the sands whispered encouragement with every gust of wind, and the sun, now bewailing him, guiding him in the sky, Eth Karpath and upward brown him. It was in the heart of the day, when the sun claimed the sky in its entirety, that Alara came upon a sight that took her breath away. Before her lay a valley, vast and deep, its edges sharp against the surrounding dunes. But it was what lay within the valley that held her gaze's city, or what remained of it, its structures carved from the very earth, their forms eroded by time, yet still standing, defiant and proud. The city was a testament to the desert, to a sad legacy, its silent streets and empty archways, echoing with the lives and stories of those who had once called it home. Alara felt a profound sense of reverence as she descended into the valley, her steps measured and cautious, aware of the sanctity of the place she was entering. As she explored the ruins, the whispers of the desert grew louder, a chorus that seemed to emanate from the very stones. They spoke of the city's rise and fall, of its people's joys and sorrows, of the knowledge they had gathered, and the wisdom they had sought. In the heart of the city, Alara found a chamber, its entrance marked by symbols that resonated with the scrolls she had discovered. With a mixture of excitement and humility, she entered the chamber, a lantern casting a gentle glow on its interior. The chamber was a library, its walls lined with shelves that held scrolls, tablets and tomes, the accumulated knowledge of a civilization that had once thrived in the embrace of the desert. The air was thick with the scent of ancient parchment and ink, and Alara felt as if she were stepping into the very soul of the city. She approached the shelves with reverence, her fingers tracing the spines of the books, her eyes scanning the scripts that held the secrets of ages past. It was here in this silent repository of wisdom that Alara found the echoing revelation. She had been seeking the connection between the city and the stars, between the desert and the cosmos. The text spoke of a harmony that bound all things, a balance that sustained the universe. They told of the people's understanding of this harmony, of their efforts to live in accordance with the rhythms of earth and sky. They spoke of a prophecy, a promise of a time when one would come to rediscover these truths, to rekindle the connection that had been lost. Alara, with the texts in her hands and the whispers of the desert in her ears, knew that her journey of that heart to this moment, to the heart of the desert's mysteries. She was the fulfillment of the prophecy, to bring past and future, chosen by the desert to carry its ancient wisdom into the world. As she left the chamber, the valley, and the city, Alara carried with her the echoing revelation of the desert. She knew that her journey was far from over, that her discoveries were just the beginning. For she was now the guardian of the desert's secrets, the keeper of its legacy. And her story was woven into the fabric of its endless sands,